Hello, welcome back to Mo's Minute. So we are still here at Hills of Eternity Memorial Park, and we're outside the mausoleum. We couldn't film inside because there's a funeral going on, so I'll attach a picture of our subject's grave at the end of this video. But we visited the grave of Moritz Feibusch, and Moritz Feibusch was a passenger on the Hindenburg, and we all know what happened to the Hindenburg. So he was born in Poland. I believe he was born in 1880. And he had a ton of family. He was one of like 7 kids. So he had a ton of family. And a lot of them were already over here. He already had aunts and uncles over here. So when he immigrated, he basically came straight to San Francisco. He had apprenticed as a tailor, but he got a job at Prager's Dry Goods. And so he was working at Prager's Dry Goods, and he worked his way up to the company to be the company buyer. He also married a woman named Mignon Schocken, and her aunt was Moritz's stepmother. And she was a famous violinist. So, they settled here in San Francisco. And his in-laws lived with them because his wife was an only child and she was like super dependent on her parents. And they had a nice place on Golden Gate Avenue. And he was very successful. So he worked his way up to be the buyer at Prager's Dry Goods. And then he started his own brokerage company. And with his brokerage company, he basically dealt exclusively with like importing and exporting. And he worked a lot with canned goods. So he worked closely with several canning companies in the area, like Fresno and Salinas. If you remember my episode on Cannery Row, like canning was like the thing to do around the time of the 1910s, 1920s, which is the era we're discussing right now. So he was very successful at what he did, and to do business properly, he made frequent trips back to Europe. So his first trip back to Europe was in 1906 because the earthquake kind of freaked him out, but he only stayed for 2 years before he came back. And in the years after, he made frequent trips to Europe for business. He would pretty much go like every year, every 2 years. And not only did he do business in Europe, but he also, especially as the years went on, was instrumental in helping his family flee, because of the political turmoil that was then sweeping Germany. So his last trip to Europe was in January of 1937. And he caught a cold during his trip. So he was like, you know what? I think I'm going to extend my trip and go to Italy for a few days. So he went to Italy because I guess that's where you go when you need to recover from a cold. And then went back to Germany, and it was then time to get home. So this was, like I said, 1937. So how did he book passage home, you might ask? He booked passage on the Hindenburg because he also had a thing for Zeppelins. I should say Zeppos are lighters now. He had a thing for Zeppelins, and he wanted to go on the flying Zeppelin. And he became fond, and during his frequent trips back to Europe, he became fond of printing his own postcards and sending them to his family back here because his wife, his in-laws, his wife was dead by 1937 because she had brain cancer. But he still had a nephew out here. And so he would print his own postcard to send to them. And he printed a postcard from the Hindenburg that still survives today. And I believe it's probably in the Hindenburg Museum in New Jersey, but don't quote me on that. So yeah, he printed his own postcard about how excited he was to be a passenger on the first Zeppelin's maiden voyage. We all know what happens with maiden voyages because I'm sure you've seen my episode on the Titanic. But anyway, I digress. And he was stopped by a steward of the Hindenburg that was like, "Oh no, sir, you're wrong. There was another Zeppelin a few years before, like a couple years ago." And Moritz was like, "Well, but this is this Zeppelin's first trip. So I'm not wrong. Go away." And So yeah, he traveled on the Hindenburg. There is quite a lot of information about his time on the Hindenburg. I'm not quite sure how because they never found his journal, but he, I guess, passengers who survived remembered talking to him and interacting with him during the trip. And so it's unclear where he was when the Hindenburg caught fire, but he was probably closer to the starboard side. And the fire spread so quickly that there was just no chance that he was going to make it out. He also wouldn't have been one of the people, even though his nephew recalled that he liked being the first person off, he wouldn't have been in a position at this time to be one of the first people off. Because there was a Swedish journalist who had to drive to Pennsylvania for an interview and then go back to New Jersey to catch the Hindenburg on its trip back to Germany, either that night or the next day. So the journalist would have been the first person off the Hindenburg, not Moritz. So yeah, he didn't make it out of the Hindenburg before the fire got undomitable. And so he died on May 6th, 1937. But they did recover his body, hence why he's here with his wife, but it took a few days to identify his body. And his body was actually taken first to New York. Because even though he was an American citizen and had been in America for probably like 4 years at that point, his body was first claimed by Germany because he was born in, well, Poland, but Germany took him anyway. And so Germany claimed their citizens who died and brought their bodies to New York. And it was the German citizens who perished on the Hindenburg, Moritz, and one other person. And if you see pictures, the German bodies had Nazi flags on their caskets, and Moritz had a black flag. And the other non-Jewish person with him was that Swedish journalist that had that interview in Pennsylvania that he definitely didn't make. And he had either a black flag or a Swedish flag. So it's not clear if the reason for the different color flag was because of his religion or the fact that he was not a German citizen. No one knows. But considering what was happening in Germany at the time, it very possibly was due to his religion. So yeah, that's the story of Moritz Feibusch. And there, like I said, there's still a lot of information known about him, so feel free to look him up. It was pretty interesting. And some of his postcards still survive, and I think they're in the Hindenburg Museum in Lakehurst, New Jersey, so that'd be cool to check out if I ever make it to New Jersey. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.